I'm so angry right now, I could possibly go outside for a beautiful walk, or maybe even read a book. My friend Jorgen Smorgan was supposed to come over today, but apparently the bus driver he's going with is like 93 years old and drives 20 kilometers an hour. Whoopee! I honestly don't understand why sometimes it takes people so long to do things. And you know what? That reminds me of a couple of things. A lot of game companies do the same thing, and it makes me mad. Like, oh, here's a game we could release right now, but why don't we wait on that and give them another game to tide them over? Sometimes it just makes me want to scream until I break all the windows in my frickin' neighborhood. This makes me as mad as when the CEO of Bedtime calls me every night. I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Okay, being completely honest, this is basically just me getting mad over how Sonic Origins isn't releasing until 2022. You already made the games. You could release it next week if you wanted to. And trust me, I'm happy that we're getting a Sonic Colors remaster because honestly I did skip that game as a kid and I'd like to come back to it. But that doesn't mean that I want it to tide me over for a game that could release tomorrow. And all the idiots out there saying they're insane, oh well it's for hyping up the crowd. This is making me less excited. Why should I wait longer? The announcement that Sonic 3 General is coming back is getting me excited. What do I have to wait for? It's done. The game has been made in 1994. And don't even get after me saying, oh, it's probably because they have to port it. Bro, they have been made for the phone. Christian Whitehead has widescreen ported them all to mobile devices, even Sonic 3. The Switch has had many games that have been ported from the phone over to the Switch. Here's how I feel right now. Imagine telling your dog to stay and dangling a giant steak in front of them, and then you're just like, wait, you can't have it yet. The steak's already done, but you can't have it. I wonder how that dog feels. He probably feels like Here's another good example, at least to me. I don't know, maybe people will disagree with me on this, but what about Metroid Prime 4 and then Breath of the Wild 2? I mean, Nintendo just kinda announced them and just dipped. They never said anything more about them. They did just release more information at the Nintendo Direct this year, but still. It took them a long freaking time to get that information out, much less a full game. Breath of the Wild 2 is releasing in 2022, and we don't even know when Metroid Prime 4 is gonna be releasing. And I mean, I understand it, the, development stuff, COVID-19, stuff like that. But it's just frustrating. I mean, well, Nintendo has a way better excuse than Sega right now to delay their games. I wouldn't even necessarily call this a delay though, if you think about it. Like, they didn't really announce a release date until now, so what would you even call this? They just dropped a trailer about it or a tweet and just dipped. They never said anything more about it, at least back then. We just got new information about this. It's just weird to me. And look, I know game development is way harder than it sounds. Like, there's so many obstacles you gotta go around and stuff, but you'd think that they'd at least give us some more inside information to what's going on. I mean, if I was a video game company, I'd want to let my fans know what's going on. But that's kind of the thing I also like about Nintendo, which is kind of like a love-hate relationship. I love how they announce stuff, like, just the week before they release it. Because when you're getting hyped about it now, you don't have to wait for it. It's just next week, or the next day, like Paper Mario. I mean, even though that was a so-so game, but you know what I mean. I mean, if I were to talk about actual delays, I'd talk about Puke Nukem Forever, but like, that topic's been talked to death. A good way of tiding people over that I just thought of is when they released half of Sonic 3, so they would make the deadline and then release the other half as Sonic and Knuckles. I mean, Sonic 3 isn't what it was supposed to be at the end of the day, but it's still the same idea. You can still play it the way it was meant to be played, And at least that tided people over with part of the game that they were promised, instead of just releasing a whole nother game to tide them over for something else. It's tiding them over with one half of the game already done, and then here's the other half later when everybody's already finally finished it, Another thing I hate that some game companies do is when they release a new console, even just an updated console that plays all the same games as the one you have, but then it also has a couple special games, you know? I'm looking at you, new 3DS. Look, I get it. The new 3DS is a little more powerful than the original 3DS. It's got some more juice in it, so you might as well take advantage of that. But why are you only releasing SNES games for the new 3DS when I can hack my original 3DS and play them fine there? They released Super Mario Kart for the new 3DS only, and then I went back and installed it on my original 3DS. Makes no sense. I don't know, I'm kind of going on a bit of a tangent here, but it kind of just goes to show that some game companies just don't always want to put in the effort. And again, I understand that because making games isn't as easy as it seems to be, but still, you'd think they put a little more care into their product to be able to sell more product. I mean, at the same time, Nintendo's Nintendo, they're one of the richest companies on the planet. I don't know, with video game companies, I just have so many bones to pick and so many sweet nothings to whisper in their ears. They just do so many things right and then so many things wrong. For every right they have, there's a wrong to go along with it. I don't know. Maybe instead of complaining about how Sonic Origins is going to be releasing until 2022, maybe I should be thinking about how it could impact the future of Sonic as a character as a whole, and maybe even Sega as a company. Like, think about it, they haven't released Sonic 3 in 10 years, a full decade, and they're finally releasing it again. Maybe this could mean something really cool, maybe even a Sonic Mania 2. Woo-hoo-hoo! I'd be real happy about that, and I would be extra angry for Sonic Forces 2. I guess that's kind of the reason why I collect video games though. There's just so many good games that aren't part of modern hardware. If game companies won't put out good games in their future, then at least you have their past. That's kind of what Sega's banking off of right now though, just the nostalgia aspect. How many times do you think they've released Sonic 2? I guess the one thing you've got to just remember is that everybody working at Nintendo or Sega or Microsoft or Sony, they're all people too. They all have got their own lives too. So I mean, as much as it might be difficult for you to see that you can't have Metroid Prime 4 right now or Breath of the Wild 2, as much as I want it right now, these people gotta live their own lives too. And I'm not saying that people are like getting mad about it or anything like that. I don't know, maybe this is more of a thing for myself because I can easily get frustrated about things like this. But let me tell you, if they ever cancel Breath of the Wild 2, I will personally go ape mode on everyone at Nintendo.
You know what? Maybe I should sit back, relax, because I'm sure Jorgen Schmorgen will be here any minute, you know? I'm sure it's not gonna actually take him like 4 years to get here, but that's fine, you know what? I'll be patient. I'll wait to get what I want. I'm still waiting!